The NBA has been and always will be about one thing: getting buckets. And from Wilt Chamberlain to Michael Jordan to Kobe Bryant and LeBron James, the game's greatest players of all time have also been among the NBA's best scorers. Let's take a look at 10 NBA legends' highest scoring games. Michael Jordan, 69 points. While leading the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA titles in 8 seasons, Michael Jordan crafted a legacy of game-winning shots, MVPs, and scoring titles. But 1 year before his first finals run, Jordan logged his best scoring game ever in a 117-113 overtime win over the Cleveland Cavaliers in March of 1990. Jordan's stat line in his career-high performance was absurd. He scored 69 points on 23 of 37 shooting and shot 21 of 23 from the free throw line. He also recorded 18 rebounds, 6 assists, and 4 steals. In overtime, with the game hanging in the balance, Jordan took over, scoring 8 points in overtime to secure the win for Chicago. Jordan battled through fatigue to get to his career high, something that wasn't unusual for him, and played 50 minutes. He also didn't get much help from his teammates. Horace Grant was the only other Chicago player to score in double digits with 16 points. LeBron James, 61 points. Across an 11-year career that has included 2 NBA championships, 4 regular season MVP awards, and 10 All-Star selections, LeBron James has never scored 60 points in a game before a March 2014 matchup against the Charlotte Bobcats. Wearing a mask to protect a broken nose suffered earlier that season, James was hot from the opening tip and tallied 24 points by halftime. The reigning MVP at the time then exploded for 25 points in the third quarter alone, which is still the most points James has ever scored in a quarter. He capped his memorable night off by crossing the 60-point threshold at the free throw line with under 2 minutes remaining in regulation. James made an absurd 22 of his 33 shot attempts, becoming the first player since 2000 to score 60 points and make at least 2/3 of his shots from the field. James also sunk 8 of 10 three-pointers and converted 9 of 12 free throws across 41 minutes, in what went down as a 124-107 Heat victory over Michael Jordan's Bobcats. Larry Bird, 60 points. Midway through the 1984-85 season, Larry Bird's teammate Kevin McHale set a Celtics franchise record with a 56-point showing against the Detroit Pistons. McHale's historic performance turned out to be the motivation for Bird, who one-upped his teammate 9 days later by scoring a career-high 60 points. He finished 22 for 36 from the floor, and Bird, who was 28 years old at the time, went into video game mode in the second half, when he scored 32 of his 60 over a 14-minute span to put the game out of reach and lead the Celtics to a 126-115 win over the Atlanta Hawks. Kevin Durant, 54 points. A silky scorer who at 6'11" can get a shot off against any defender, Kevin Durant's 54 points against the Golden State Warriors in 2014 still sticks out for how efficient the forward was from the field. Durant shot 19 of 28 from the floor in the Thunder's win and went 5 of 9 from three-point range. Durant also added 11 made free throws, 6 assists, 4 rebounds, and 2 steals on the night, which came without his sidekick Russell Westbrook, who Oklahoma City had lost to a knee injury earlier in the season. Durant went on to win the NBA's scoring title that season by averaging 32 points per game and was simply unstoppable on the floor. Wilt Chamberlain, 100 points. There's a lot of controversy surrounding Wilt's historic 100-point game. First off, it wasn't on television, so there's some doubt around the authenticity of his performance. And according to stories from teammates and opponents who played with and against Wilt that night, his Philadelphia Warriors force-fed him the ball all night, especially in the fourth quarter, even fouling the opposing team to get the ball back quicker in an effort to get Wilt to 100. Still, it's an incredible accomplishment, and the most points any player has scored in the history of the NBA. Wilt played all 48 minutes that night and scored his 100 points on 36 of 63 shooting as the Warriors beat the Knicks 169-147. In the win, Chamberlain broke his own single-game scoring record of 78 points, which he set in 1961. Wilt also grabbed 25 rebounds in the game, had 2 assists, and likely several blocks, but the NBA didn't start to record blocks until the 1973-74 season. He also hit 28 of his 32 free throws that night. which is incredible considering Wilt shot 51% from the free throw line that season. Steph Curry, 54 points. Before Steph Curry's 3 NBA championships, 2 MVPs, and 6 All-Star appearances, he was still the babyface shooter who couldn't quite ever stay healthy. But that all changed on February 27, 2013 at Madison Square Garden, when Curry launched himself to the top of the NBA's consciousness. Curry finished with 54 points against the Knicks, which still remains his career high today. Curry tossed in layups at previously undiscovered angles and sunk soft, high-arching jumpers over the outstretched arms of defenders with a simple flick of the wrist. Curry attempted 13 three-pointers that night, made 11, and became the first ever 50-point scorer in league history to also hit double-digit threes. In a way, Curry was giving his teammates, defenders, and fans a preview of what he'd do to the league over the next several seasons, when he revolutionized the way basketball was played and NBA offense was run. His 54 points in New York remains his career high today. Shaquille O'Neal, 61 points. Shaquille O'Neal was in the midst of what would be his lone MVP season as his Los Angeles Lakers matched up against the LA Clippers in March of 2000. That day also happened to be O'Neal's 28th birthday, and he had a party all night long against the lowly Clippers undermanned frontline and poor Michael Olowokandi, who started the game opposite Shaq. O'Neal finished with 61 points in the game on 24 for 35 shooting, and also went 13 for 22 at the free throw line. Shaq also recorded 23 rebounds and 3 assists as the Lakers dismantled the Clippers 123-103. It would end up being the greatest single-game performance of O'Neal's regular season career, and one of the best single-game performances in Lakers history as well. While he shared the stage with Kobe Bryant, who was LA's second highest scorer in this game with 22 points. For much of his Lakers tenure, this night belonged to Shaq. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, 55 points. Kareem Abdul-Jabbar doesn't usually get mentioned in the best player in league history conversation, but he's absolutely in the discussion for best scorers in league history. Kareem retired in 1989, but has still scored the most points in NBA history. Across 20 seasons, Kareem never averaged less than double figures, and in 17 of those seasons, he averaged 20-plus points. A lot of his points scored came via the famous skyhook shot that he created while in just the 5th grade. Kareem's career-high 55 points came on just 36 shots, all of which, of course, came from two-point range, in a 120-104 win for his Milwaukee Bucks over the Boston Celtics in 1971. Kareem also pulled down 17 rebounds in the win, which came in just his 3rd NBA season, and also came in a game that featured several future Hall of Famers, including his then-teammate Oscar Robertson, along with John Havlicek and Dave Cowens. Kobe Bryant, 81 points. Kobe Bryant won 5 NBA championships during his career and was Finals MVP twice. He went to 18 All-Star games and won 1 regular season MVP award. However, his single most impressive individual accomplishment is his 81-point game in 2006 against the Toronto Raptors. Bryant led the league in scoring that season by averaging 35.4 points per game, and this historic performance against the Raptors showed why Kobe is one of the best scorers in league history. He hit one contested jumper after another, as every twirling fadeaway from Kobe seemed more and more difficult than the last. As the game progressed, the Raptors tried as hard as they could to limit history, but there was no stopping Kobe that night. With his team trailing by 18 points in the 3rd quarter, Bryant simply exploded, scoring 27 points in the 3rd and 28 in the 4th. He accounted for all but 18 of the Lakers' points in the second half, and single-handedly put the game away. When Bryant scored his final 2 points on a pair of free throws with 43.4 seconds remaining, the chants of MVP from the Staples Center crowd couldn't have been more fitting. Bryant finished the second half scoring 55 of his 81 points, the second highest point total in a half in NBA history, behind Chamberlain's 59-point second half in his 100-point game. Tim Duncan, 53 points. Most people don't consider Tim Duncan a bona fide scorer, but he could get buckets when he really wanted to. Although it came in a losing effort to the Dallas Mavericks, Duncan scored a career-high 53 points to go with 11 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 blocks in a memorable performance in 2001. Duncan also went 19 of 28 from the field and knocked down all 15 of his free throw attempts. But Duncan simply got no help from his teammates in the loss. The Spurs' second highest scorer in the game was David Robinson, who only tallied 13 points. Meanwhile, the Mavs got 20-plus point performances from 3 players, including Dirk Nowitzki, Steve Nash, and Michael Finley.